In order to use the iOS switch control feature that comes with your VISAIDE Smart Cane 5000, you must first configure your Smart Cane's button interface with your iOS device. In order to do that, you need to go to Settings, General, Accessibility, Switch Control, and then to Switches. Add new switch, and because the VISAIDE Smart Cane 5000's button interface is an external device compared to the iPhone, you'll click External. Now it wants you to activate your external switch. So external switches can be Bluetooth, MIDI, or made for iPhone assistive switch control devices. As you know, we're going to be using the VISAIDE Smart Cane 5000. So the first switch we're going to activate is the switch located in the upper left corner of the button interface, which is the switch labeled with the T in Braille. So I'm activating that switch now. And as you can see, a dialog box has come up saying new switch and wants me to label the switch. For that switch, we're going to label it as previous. And in brackets, we're going to put text message. So type text message, as that will be an alternate function of this button, as all of the buttons available on the iOS switch control do have multiple functions, buttons 1 to 4. So now I will click Save, and now I have to assign an action to that button. So in this case, the action I would like to assign under the scanner menu is Move to Previous Item, which is why we named it Previous. I also have an option to create a long press function, meaning if I was to press on this button for an extended duration, as opposed to a momentary push, I could assign another function that would activate. We will be doing that on later buttons, but not for the previous button. So now I can press back, and now I have an option to exit switch control or add a new switch. As we have 5 switches to, 5 switches to add, we will be adding a new switch. So the next switch we need to add, click Add New Switch, External again. We're going to press down on the switch in the upper right hand corner of the control panel on the VISAIDE Smart Cane 5000. So I've pressed that switch. In this case, we're going to label this switch Next, as that is the next switch. And in brackets, we're going to give it its alternative function, which in this case is Be My Eyes video call. And save that. And the reason we're naming it Be My Eyes video call is because one of its alternative functions will be to activate an app called Be My Eyes, which is a live video call app that allows visually impaired users to connect with a community of sighted volunteers to help them, navigate certain things, whether it's checking the expiry date on a carton of milk or deciding what color shirt to wear. So at this point, we have to again assign actions to this device. So for this device, the main action we'd like to assign is Move to Next Item. That's why we call it Next. However, we also do want to assign a long press action to this device. And the long press will be Scanner Menu. So now this button has 2 actions associated with it, a default action and a long press action, which in our case will be activated if the button is held down for 4 seconds. So we're going to go back. Now we're going to add another switch, External. This time we're going to activate the switch in the middle of the button control interface. So I've activated the middle switch, and we're going to label this one as Select, as this will be the button that is used to select things on iOS switch control. Its alternative function will be to make a call to either someone, a friend that VISAIDE Smart Cane is configured to call, or an emergency call. So we will label this as emergency call, even though the function may be designated to just call a friend. And again, the middle button is labeled with a C in Braille, just like the upper right button was labeled with a V in Braille and the upper left button was labeled with a T. You'll notice that the button labels are referenced to their alternative functions. For example, the alternative function of the upper left button was to make a text message, hence T. The button in the upper right was to make a video call to Be My Eyes app, hence the V. And the button in the middle, the alternative function, is to make a call, hence the C. So we're going to click Save, and we're going to assign as the action, Select Item. And for long press, we are also going to assign another function, in this case, App Switcher. We're going to go back, and we're going to add a new switch. External again. And in this case, we're going to press the switch located in the lower left corner of the button interface. And we're going to label this switch as Siri, as its primary function will be to activate Siri on your phone. Its alternative function will be, one of the alternative functions will be to access the Google Maps app in order to get navigation directions. So we're going to put Google Maps as the alternative function. And again, we're going to save that. And the action that we're going to assign, the default action will be Siri. And the long press action will be the home button. And then we do have one more switch to add, so we're going to click Add New Switch, External again. And the switch that we're going to click on this time will be the last switch available on the button interface, which is in the lower right corner. And we're going to label this one as Forced Shutdown. And in brackets labeled Failure. Now this button is associated with disabling iOS switch control in case the iOS switch control was acting erratically or wasn't functioning as expected. You could press this button, it would interrupt any of the iOS switch control commands currently executing and would just disable the iOS switch control, allowing you to turn off the cane and back on and then go back into it and hopefully have solved any issue that may have happened. So we're going to click Save. And the function that we're going to assign here is Accessibility Shortcut. And this button will not have any long press associated with it. So at this point we can press back. And your screen, when you've added all of the functionality of all of the buttons of the VISAIDE Smart Cane 5000's button interface, your screen should look as this screen does right now. And then you can just exit out of settings, and you're one step closer to being able to utilize the VISAIDE Smart Cane 5000's iOS switch control.